Cultural Differences in Business: Russia versus the U.S. by Brian Porter Jr. Both of these countries are multi-ethnic great powers who have a variety of diversity in their society. Both of these groups are known for great hospitality and appreciate casual, direct, and blunt ways of speaking. When it comes to meeting people, Americans are more likely to strike up a conversation with strangers. However, the interactions are usually shallow and in there. Americans are skeptical about accepting newcomers in their social circles, regardless if a person is also American or foreign born. Russians can appear more reserved in their reluctancy to start conversations with foreigners. However, they are more accepting of outsiders in their social circles. In Russia, personal space is not an option. Your space is their space. Americans prefer more personal space than Russians do. In America, when friends or family greet, they shake hands or give short hugs and immediately step aside to have distant conversations. In Russia, people are comfortable talking right on top of each other with little personal space in between them. Businessmen in Russia put more emphasis on spoken word than their American counterparts, who tend to handle communication in written form. Russian professionals prefer to hear things directly and from partners whom they have established trust with. Face-to-face meetings are considered more worthwhile than phone calls because they enable partners to fully examine and discuss issues. Russians also tend to show less body language than Americans, which is especially true for negotiation. During negotiation, Americans tend to be more open to compromise, which is both desirable and inevitable. Russians, on the other hand, regard compromise as a sign of weakness, a retreat from a correct position. Therefore, patience is an important skill to have when doing business with Russians. Russian corporate hierarchy is quite different than in the US. Often it's stricter and more precise. Most decision making in Russian companies is made at the highest level by a single leader who delegates tasks to staff. In contrast to American corporate cultures, subordinates in Russia are not often consulted, and they are expected to follow directions with little or no discussion. Meanwhile, in the US, lower ranking employees are allowed to challenge management decisions, offer solutions, and take initiative. In general, Russian business culture today promotes gender equality in the workplace. However, it wasn't always like this. Russia had to establish new priorities when it became independent from the Soviet Union in 1991, including the roles of women at home and at work. During the height of post-Soviet economy slums, women's roles in the workplace took a beating, resulting in fewer occupying senior corporate posts. In the 1990s, while many women were now employed, few made it to the top. In its not so distant past, Western business women in Russia might often find themselves at a disadvantage, treated politely but viewed as inferior to their male counterparts, regardless of their position. During meetings, they might have found it hard to get their opinion across, with preference usually given to the male counterpart.